Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms create efficiencies and work smarter. And today I wanted to talk to you about the Rocketbook. Now, for those of you that haven't seen one, a Rocketbook is basically a notebook. And they come in different sizes, and they come with a special pen. It's actually not that special. You can buy it at any Staples or office supply store or online. But basically the idea behind the Rocketbook is that you can use it to write in, and then you can go ahead and with either, depending on the type of Rocketbook that you buy, they have one that can be placed in the microwave and then heated to a temperature where all the ink is then erased. Or in this particular type of Rocketbook, you can erase it by wiping the pages clean with a damp cloth. So for example, I'll give you a little sample here. The pages are pretty much just pages of a notebook. And I'm gonna go ahead and write something on here with looks just like a pen, writes just like a pen. And I've written my note here that you can all see. Then I'm gonna take my damp cloth and I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that right off. And once that page dries, then I can go ahead and write on it again. So it's basically a recyclable notebook, which is great as far as keeping the cost of paper down. It's a great tool, and what does it really do? It allows us to, of course, use less paper, but then also it comes with an app that allows us to use the app to scan that paper straight into a Dropbox folder or straight to someone's email account, which of course is very convenient. But what I wanted to do today was I wanted to take that whole Rocketbook concept and take it a little bit further, because I work with a lot of firms that do intake in their office, and oftentimes they'll meet with clients and want to go ahead and take notes and make sure that those notes are saved and preserved. And a lot of times they don't necessarily want to do that straight on a computer. Sometimes, especially in the areas of estate planning or other practice areas, it can feel a bit like the computer between you and your client is kind of hindering that communication, and maybe they don't feel as comfortable. And so a lot of attorneys will say to me that they much prefer to handwrite their intake notes. So we also, though, want to make sure that those intake notes are still preserved and shared with other people within the firm so that that information isn't lost. So what I did was I went ahead and took the Rocketbook idea one step further by basically, Rocketbook provides you with forms, just blank pages that you can print out that will work with a Rocketbook, and the Rocketbook app, that is. So what I did was I took that blank form and I went ahead and printed out my intake sheet on it. So for example, my intake sheet is asking questions about the client's name, whether or not they're married, if they own their home, those kind of things. And so what I've done then is I've created this intake sheet that now an attorney or whoever's consulting with the client can walk into the meeting with this intake sheet and go ahead and fill it out with their handwriting and just handwrite their notes right on the sheet. And what we can do then is it allows the attorney or whoever's doing the intake to go ahead and quickly scan that page with their phone, and it can go straight to an assistant's email, or it can go straight to a Dropbox folder that assistant then checks, so that information is saved and preserved. Rocketbook does take it one step further with their app, and you can also have that data on the sheet that it scans. Basically, it uses an OCR software that will then take those letters that you've written and turn them into typed letters, so that now we can copy and paste that information into a practice management software or anywhere else in the computer. So the nice part is that we can now use this technology to create our own forms and basically take hand intake notes that then get scanned to the file or even OCR'd so that they can be submitted into a practice management software. Now, there are two caveats that I want to mention in case you do plan on trying this in your office. Number one, and really it's two tips for security. The idea is that when we scan this page into the app, the information stays on the phone. So it's not going out onto the internet or anywhere else. It will just stay on your phone, and that's what you're using to send that information. Now, if it's if it's a sole practitioner, an attorney that's scanning that, it can be a very convenient tool, and it's something that's going to stay on their phone, so that's fine. But if you get into a situation where you have a lot of staff members and they're using their own personal phones to scan these things, now that information is, of course, being not so closely controlled because everybody has it on their own personal phone. That employee leaves, and now they've got all this client information. So that's obviously something we want to try to avoid. Number two is if you are going to use the OCR capabilities in that software, that's when the app will transfer that information across the internet, and it is not a secure transfer. So my caution or my caveat is be careful whose phone is being used to scan these documents. And number two, if you're using the OCR software within the app, it will not be a secure connection when this information is transmitted. So keeping all of that in mind, I do think that it can be a great tool for a lot of different uses within the law firm, especially for people that are having trouble giving up that handwriting, pen and paper. So keep it in mind. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to help. Have a great evening.